Well, if you are a cross-country guy who wants to get more into trail riding but doesn't want to get a super long travel bike, this SB100 is capable enough for just about any trail out there, but still kind of maintains that cross-country feel. Super rad bike. Let's hop in this review. Hey, what's up guys? We are out on the Yeti SB100 this morning. I've actually been riding this bike for about 10 days now, and after a few rides, I've got over 100 miles on it now, and had the opportunity to kind of, give it a lot of different rides on some different terrain, do a bunch of climbing on it, and I really like it. In fact, man, it just is so similar to the current Yeti SB 4.5. It's surprising how similar they are. It's got a little bit steeper seat tube angle, puts you in a little better climbing position. The reach is just a little bit longer too, and so you kind of feel like you're in a better position to attack the climbs. So in that regard, I think it maybe climbs a little better than the SB 4.5. But man, for a 100mm bike, it still descends really well. In fact, I would say this is, I don't know, the best descending 100mm bike I've ridden. It has a 67.8 degree head tube angle, so it's slacked out a little bit more than what most 100mm bikes geometry are set at. You can definitely tell Yeti was more focused on producing a really good trail bike here, and that's evident in the tires that they spec'd it with. The Minion DHF front tire and the Aggressor rear, XO1/GX mixed group set build. It's like the $7,000 build on Yeti's website. I'm 5'8". I'm on a medium, and I'm actually riding a Betty today. I'll show you, because they didn't have an SB100 in my size. So the only thing different is, I think, the actual saddle and the width of the bars probably. All right, Jacob's ladder on the SB100. Climbs really well. Tyler's just gone today. I demoed this bike from Salt Cycles in Sandy, Utah. So if you're local, head over there. They've got Yeti SB100s in stock to demo. Anyway, just ask for Chris. He'll take good care of you. Man, like I said earlier, I've been on this bike for a little over a week now, and this is probably the 5th time I've ridden Jacob's ladder on it. And man, I'm just really surprised at how well this bike descends for a 100mm bike. For those of you who are new to the channel, I rode a Rocky Mountain Element for about 9 months just recently, and it's a 100mm, like, more purebred cross-country bike, and that has more cross-country characteristics than this bike does, and I would say that this bike definitely descends significantly better than that bike. This bike just rides like it has a lot more travel. In fact, man, I would say that this bike descends as well as the SB 4.5. It's like crazy to be saying that, but Tyler and I, the guy in front of me, he rides an SB 4.5. That's his only bike. And we swapped back and forth the other day, and I'd say that this SB100 is basically just as good descending as that bike. Whoa. Woo. It's loose. Yeah, this is definitely doesn't feel like a race bike in terms of its geometry. More of a trail bike. I mean, you definitely get pushed around the trail a little bit more than some of the longer travel bikes, but man, for a 100 mil bike, that's about as composed as it gets. That was rad. Dude, this feels every bit as good as the 4.5.
Yeah, I think so. I think it pushes along better.
Ooh, that shock is hot. Yeah, you're right, it does push along better. Like,
I don't know if it's because it's fresh lube or what it is, but I think it's seriously feels like it pushes you over the rough stuff.
yeah, when you hit like that kind of 8-inch bumps,
Yeah.
ruts and stuff, it doesn't get hung up at all.
Yeah.
It just kind of skips over it.
That thing feels incredible over that small chattery stuff.
Like the really, like the little braking bump type
the
stuff.
braking bumps,
Yeah. Yeah.
It was really good.
Yeah, dude, I'm impressed by this bike. So crazy what they're doing with less travel.
It's an amazing bike. I like it.
And it's got a water bottle in the front triangle.
It does.
Let's go do Ghost. There's gonna be a million high school kids coming up. All right, now we're heading down to Ghost Falls Trail. This is more buffed, kind of smooth trail, not so much 6 to 8 inch, you know, chattery stuff. And this is where this bike is just nice, Tyler. It's so fast and just so smooth on this type of stuff. A lightweight wheel set and tires, lighter tires, would make a huge difference and just bring this bike even more to life. For these types of trails, this SB100 is the type of bike, if not the bike, to be riding these trails on. Yeah, I think the type of person that probably buys this bike or a bike like this is someone who's maybe, I've said this about some other bikes, but it's just kind of the category bike it is. It's kind of a shorter travel 29er that, you know, if you've been riding cross country, you want to get a bike that still feels kind of like a cross country bike, but has better trail manners. This bike would be a great option. That Pivot Trail 429 that I'm riding right now, that I currently own, is also a really good option. This bike isn't quite as stiff. Nice, Tyler. This bike's not quite as stiff as my Pivot, but still very responsive feeling. All these shorter travel bikes are gonna feel that way. Not quite as forgiving as a longer travel bike, but man, it's a lot of fun through all these trails that we're riding today. And you know, if I didn't say it enough, on the climb, it climbs really well. Nice. Tyler rode this one day last week also, and I rode his SB 4.5, and I think he'd trade his 4.5 for this bike, it sounds like. And I wonder if you can wonder what Yeti says about running a longer travel fork on this for guys who want to have a little bit more trail, even more trail emphasis. Rake out that front end a little bit more and run a 130 fork or something, I don't know. Actually, you know what? One last thing I'm gonna say also about this versus the 4.5 is I do feel like this on kind of that 6 to 8 inch type rutted out chunkier section, this just skips along the top a little better than the 4.5. So Tyler, would you trade your 4.5 for the 100?
Yeah, I would.
You would?
I would, just because of mostly because of the bottle inside of the triangle. I think that's the
water bottle?
Plus, yeah.
Wow, coming from a Yeti guy, he's even admitting it. Wow, okay.
Yeah, I hate the water bottle under that's why I wear the fanny pack.
Yeah.
Because I hate the water bottle under there. For me, like as short guys, it's harder for us to reach down there I don't know, maybe a tall guy would have the same issue as well with their seat that high.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I just don't like that part of it.
So you would...
The ride is amazing though on both of them.
Hey guys, just got back from my ride on the new Yeti SB100. It's actually the Betty that I rode today because they didn't have the SB100 in my size. It's the same bike, different saddle, different handlebars. I've had it for about 10 days now and I put over 100 miles on it. And I really like getting to ride the bike, you know, 5 or 6 times and really get a feel for it, get the suspension set up just right. This is a 100 mil bike that doesn't ride like any other 100 mil bike that I've ridden. For those of you who follow the channel, I used to own and ride a Rocky Mountain Element, which is a more like focused, purpose-built race bike. And really, you know, very different feel on this bike than that Element. This is more trail bike. It's a deeper feeling suspension. It is more stable at speed than most 100 mil bikes that I've ridden. In fact, I would say this is probably about as stable as the current SB 4.5 by Yeti. It's very similar to that. It feels a little bit longer than that bike, and you know, it doesn't have as much front travel and or rear travel for that matter, but it feels very similar. This type of bike is, in my opinion, the type of bike that if you still want to do a lot of cross-country stuff but have a really good capable trail bike, this falls into that category, along with the obviously the SB 4.5 that's been around for a while. You know, my Pivot Trail 429, the Ibis Ripley, which is a little bit shorter geometry, but it's in that category even though it's only a 100 mil bike. I love that Yeti has the water bottle in the front triangle. That makes it a viable option for me, where I do a lot of 2-hour rides and I just don't need to wear a backpack, you know, and so that makes this bike a more viable option for a guy like me. If you're racing cross country like really competitively, I think you might be better off going with a more purpose-built race bike. You know, I don't know, it came with really heavy tires. You know, I was surprised that they spec'd it with the DHF Maxxis front tire and the Aggressor rear tire, but you know, it's a trail bike. It just kind of is what it is. It's an incredible bike, I will tell you that much. Yeti has always been one of my favorites in terms of how they ride, how they climb. You know, it climbs as well as the Ibis Ripley. It is about the same as my Pivot Trail 429. I think with some lighter wheels and tires, it would really wake this thing up a lot. Thanks for watching today. I hope the review was helpful for you. Stick around, watch some of my other videos that are similar to this, and you know, thanks for supporting the channel and subscribing and liking the videos. Thanks guys, we'll see you next time. Riding a girl bike. Oh, I'm not hitting that. It's just crazy how you never really feel the bottom of this bike, even though that's a little 3-foot drop back there. It's not big and it wasn't high speed, but you don't bottom this bike out real easy.